Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another day on the Daily Creative Challenge. Today is the penultimate session, so it's gonna be, I think, a good one. How is everyone today? I see a lot of familiar faces as usual. Hello, Michelle, Anne, Eric, Sean, Sam, Anthony. We are here in San Francisco. Where are you writing from? It's always really cool to see all the different places where people are watching the live. So we have a really cool things coming up today. So after the Daily Creative Challenge, we're gonna have Adobe Live with career building with Elisa. Then an Adobe XD Creative Challenge with Andrea Hawk, who was also a creative resident. And at 12 we have Adobe Design for Any Screen with Erin. So it's a pretty cool and busy day. Hello, Beatrice. Hello, Luca from Germany. It's 6 p.m. Cool. Carla, hello. Hello. Okay, let's start. So before we actually start with the challenge, we just go through how I'm just going to explain how if this is the first time you ever see this challenge. Well, basically this is a challenge where you can do something every day and just start learning tricks and engage with the community. So if you want to start taking the daily creative challenges, just go to this website, which is behance.net/challenge/Photoshop. And here you can just press take the challenge, or if you go to the bottom, you can also press subscribe, and you're gonna be notified with when every time there's a new challenge coming up. So that's pretty cool. And something that I would just suggest everyone is just join the community chat. If you go to the top, you press here, join the community chat, or on the bottom, you press chat with the community, join us, and you go to this platform called Discord, which basically this platform allows you to interact with people, interact with mentors, ask questions, and every time you finish a challenge, you just upload it to the Discord, and people can see your work, give you feedback. It's a pretty cool and awesome place to be, actually, and I suggest everyone to just go into the Discord. You can also see past challenges, you can ask questions, career advice, tips and tricks, and yeah. Hello, Mariano. Where are you writing from, Mariano? Cool. So right now we're just gonna go and start editing. So what we are going to do today is basically we're gonna have we have this scene that I was already built, and I'm gonna start playing different effects and shadow and lighting techniques. So we're gonna make this scene look even better. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I have these different stock images. So I want to create this story. I want to start adding components to make a story in the image. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab this character here. So I'm just going to grab the quick selection tool. I'm going to zoom in. If you press Command and plus, you can start zooming in. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start selecting the character that I want. And you can see here, there are parts that I really want. If you press Option, Alt, I don't know how is it on Windows actually, but on the Mac, it's Option Alt. You can start taking out those elements that you don't want. And if you press the square bracket, you can even make the brush bigger or smaller like this. Really big or smaller. So if you want to start messing around with the small parts or really, delicate kind of things, you could just make it smaller. So by pressing the same, oops, I don't have it. Okay, let's go. Option, because I just wanna here. Cool. Go like this. And then I wanna have the space between the legs like this. So just gonna go. Select the leg. It's gonna start taking away. Okay, cool. And actually, the software itself does a pretty good job by trying to select the parts that you actually want. So let's say here, I just want to select this part a little bit. Okay, cool. And then just this area here. Okay, awesome. So the next thing that I'm going to do is, now that I have my selection, I'm going to press Command J. And basically it's going to create a new layer based on that selection as well. So I'm just going to take that image and drag and drop in my scene. I'm going to make it smaller. And I want to create the effect of these characters walking in the middle of snow. So I'm just gonna adjust the size so it fits. And you know, it just depends on the scene that you have and depends on what kind of effect you want to give it to it. Now what I'm gonna create is I'm gonna show you a quick trick to create shadows. So if you go to the layer of your character, in this case it's layer number 2, and you, I mean, my suggestion is you to start naming your layers because it's better for you when you edit. So I'm gonna, if you press double click here, you're gonna go to your layer style, and if you go to the bottom, you're gonna see the drop shadow. Mine here is on the bottom. You may find it somewhere else, but it's drop shadow. It's basically, it's gonna create a shadow of your layer, and you can just select different types. Just multiply. You can change the opacity, but actually that doesn't matter really because it's you can change that later. So here you can also change the size, which is gonna make it blurry, but you can also change that later. So I'm just gonna do a quickly like 6. Cool. And then what I'm gonna do is, right now both of them are in the same layer. So if you select your layer, you go to layer style, and where's the create layer. It's gonna show you this warning. You're gonna press OK. So basically right now I have each of this. I have the shadow and the shape in different layers, so I can start manipulating them. So now that I have this, I'm gonna select my character here. Here, you're gonna start placing the shadow and make it fit. So what I will do is I'm gonna press Command T, which is basically edit free transform, and you're gonna be able to just transform the image as you want, or you can just press Command T, and I think it's Control T on the Windows. So I'm gonna press Command T. I'm gonna right click, flip vertical, and flip horizontal. And then I'm just gonna place it here. I'm gonna rotate it a little bit. Cool. And then what you can do right now is, if you feel like it's not fitting right, you're gonna press Command T again, right click, distort, and you can start messing around with the shadow to make it look like it's coming from the. It's giving the shadow that's actually projected from the sun. And you know, depending on your image, the light source can be coming from anywhere. So I mean, I'm gonna put it like this, but what if let's say, okay, I just want to do it really big, right? So like this. It also adds really cool effect. And you just have to make sure you just place it right on your on the feet of the character like this. Cool. And then the next thing I will do is you can start playing with the opacity. So just, you know, start playing a little bit with this to make it the shadow like this. So after this, it's up to you to decide, you know, what's the roughness, the opacity you want to give it to it. The next thing that I want to do is I want to create something. I want to start playing with brushes, and this is super cool, and I really enjoy this. So I'm just gonna create a new layer. It's an empty layer right now, and if you press Command and Delete, that's on the Mac. Oops, sorry. If you press Shift and Delete, you're gonna be able to fill that empty layer into whatever you want. So I'm just gonna fill it with black. Press OK. Now I have a layer with only black, and I'm gonna transform this into a 3D, new mesh from 3D, preset, and I'm gonna create a sphere. Now that I have my sphere, I'm just gonna do a really simple thing, which is I'm gonna make it smaller. And I'm gonna place it really far away. On the top like this. Make it bigger. Like this, cool. I'm gonna change, if you press on the top, you're gonna be able to change the light source. So I'm gonna put it like this. Cool. If you press Command H, you're gonna be able to hide those guides here like this. Then with my sphere selected, I'm gonna go to my materials. And you see here where it's black, I'm gonna press this button and I'm gonna put it this material, which is basically gonna give a little bit of shining to your sphere. Cool. Now that I have this, I want to start using layers, which is, I'm going to start using brushes, which is, it's a really cool thing. So I'm going to create a layer first, and then I'm going to select the brush. You can either go here on your left panel, select brush, or you can just you can press the letter B. And here, usually the most common is this round one, but you can have a lot of them. Like you can just Google brushes and you can start downloading brushes from, you know, clouds, ocean, smoke. So I'm gonna use this really cool one from smoke brushes. And you see how the brush here has changed a lot. So the way you start using brushes, or you can install a brush, is basically you download the brush, you Google it, smoke brush, for example, you download it. Sometimes you have to pay, but it's like $3 to $5, I think. So it's not a really big investment. And then you go, once you download it, you go to Edit, Presets, Presets Manager. And then here you're gonna be able to see different things. For example, right now I'm on the brushes, you press load, and you're gonna be able to load your brush. So here, for example, this is the water effect. I'm not gonna do that because I already have. So I'm gonna press cancel and I'm gonna press done. So once you already have your model, your brush, I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna zoom in. And what I wanna do is, I wanna start applying that brush to my sphere. So you're gonna see how, if you here on the left panel, I don't think you can see it. Wait, it's just, okay, cool. Here, if it's, I'm gonna put it on, I'm gonna change it to black. And now you're gonna be able to start painting only on that sphere to make it look like, or creating this sort of effect, right? The brush, you cannot change the brush, you cannot rotate the brush. However, you can rotate the image. So if you press R, you're gonna be able to rotate the image completely. Then you go to brush again, and then you're gonna start applying the same brush all over again, right? So what I wanna do is 100%. I just wanna erase, let's start again right here. So because you're using the same brush, you want to start rotating the image so it's gonna look like you're applying different brushes, right? So what I want to do is I just want to get rid of the edges. Then I'm gonna start playing a little bit with this. I keep rotating, making the brush bigger, like this, and then again. And then it's gonna start creating this really cool sort of effect on top of your image, like this. And it's, it's up to you to decide, okay, maybe I want to add more brushes. I want to, make it a contrast or whatever. It's up to you, but that's a really cool technique. You can download water brushes. You can do really cool stuff. And I'm going to use a brush again really soon to explain how can I do the next step, which is, now that I have this image, what if I want to start adding clouds, for example, right? The first thing, or the first method that I would use is basically I downloaded this image from stock as well. You can have in your pictures, and you're gonna drag and drop into my image. It's gonna select it all, and then here you're gonna start playing with blending options. So I'm just gonna, you can see, you're gonna start scrolling and see what's the what's affecting to your image. So for example, okay, I like this hard light effect, so I'm gonna press OK, and it's already creating this sort of a really cool like cloudy, foggy effect. However, I don't like the bottom parts, so I'm gonna create a new layer on those clouds. I'm gonna use my brush. In this case, I'm gonna use the soft round brush, which is the classic, and you're gonna start painting. I'm gonna decrease the opacity. I'm gonna start painting the parts that you actually don't want. Like this, like I want the characters to be able, I just wanna have a little bit of clouds, like here. Cool. In the same way that I was using brushes to create this effect on the sphere, you can create a new layer. You can use brush, and I already downloaded a couple of where are these brushes that have basically a shape of clouds, and you can even, you know, you can select a color that you want. Let's say a little bit. Let's select like white. Cool, and then you can start painting on top, like this, creating even crazier effects. And you can also start rotating the image like this, and you can start creating the effects. But actually, I don't want to. I want to create them here. Cool. And you know, it's up to you to start playing with it. Start, you know, if you want to create a really foggy. But this helps you to integrate them and start bending your image together. A new cool effect that you can also choose is so you create a new layer. You go to filter, render, and clouds, and you're gonna create these clouds all over. But in the same way, you can just where is this? You can start changing the bending modes. So I'm gonna choose one of which is screen. Oops, no, sorry. Let me just do this again. You're gonna create a new layer, and you're gonna turn this into black. So you again in an empty layer, you press Shift, Delete. You're gonna be able to fill it whatever you want. So just choose black, screen, and on top of this, I'm gonna create a new render clouds. Cool. And when you basically change it to screen, it's kind of the same. Where is this? Or soft light, for example. You press Command T to change to start resizing it, and then you press right click and you can change the perspective. So here what I want to do is basically sort of like try to make those clouds come to me, right? So I'm just gonna place it like this, press enter, and then again I can just, you know, either create a layer or hide a layer, use the brush again, normal brush, and start sort of like painting on top. So in this way you have 3 different types of clouds, so it doesn't look like it's only the same brush you're using, right? So if you start combining the different layers with different clouds, you're gonna make this effect or make the scene look even more realistic, right? Something also really cool that you can start using it in terms of light is you can create a lens flare, which is I don't know if many people use it. So usually what you will do is you create a layer, you go to filter, render, lens flare to create that flare on top of your image. However, it doesn't allow you to do that because it's saying the selected area is empty and it's like a background image to just use it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to combine all the layers right now and create a new one. So if you press Shift, Option Alt, Command and E, you're gonna create just a new layer containing everything here. And what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna do the filter, render, lens flare. You can change, you know, the position, you can change the brightness, you can change sort of the lens type. Let's just put it on the 50, brightness 48. Okay, cool. And then here is already creating your lens flare, which is a really cool effect. If you want to start using it, you can. It depends on depending on the image you want. You want to have a really bright sort of contrast. However, now you notice that it's already applied to my image, so that's super I cannot change. What if you start editing and you realize, okay, I don't want this, right? So what I'll do right now is I'm gonna press Command C to undo that. I'm gonna create a new layer. I'm gonna turn this layer to black by Shift and Delete again. I'm gonna turn this to black, okay. And then if you go back to your filter, you're gonna see that the lens flare is already there. So basically it's basically saving your last preset. And you're gonna press lens flare here. And this is gonna be, the lens flare is gonna be applied to your layer. The last keystroke combo, so if you wanna create, let's say you have a lot of layers and you just wanna merge all of them into one, but without losing all the layers, you just press Shift, Option Alt, Command, and E. Shift, Option Alt, Command, E. That's on the Mac, and you're gonna be able to just merge all of them and create a new layer. So having this lens flare here, you're going to change this to screen, and basically it's just gonna delete that black background, and you're gonna have the same effect and the same layer, and you can just start applying different let's say hue and saturation, and you can just start changing the color like this. And on top of everything, I can just start applying brightness and contrast. Like this. I would apply even a gradient map. Change this into soft light. And then just change this into like this effect. Change the opacity. And then you can just start playing with different options, right? And it's all about you and to decide what kind of effect you want, or how many brightness or contrast. I usually try to make my images really sort of dark or bluish, right? So that's a really cool effect. And now that let's say I'm happy with this image, I'm just gonna save it. Press save. And this is challenge number 8. Desktop, I'm gonna save it as JPEG. Cool. Save it. And then I will go to my Discord website, go to current challenge, go to the bottom, press the plus, and I can just challenge number 8, upload it. And then challenge number 8, upload. And there we go. Cool. And now it's uploaded there, and people can just see it and start giving me feedback with this. I'm gonna start giving feedback as well. So this is a really cool these are really cool effects that you're gonna start applying to your image and start playing with it. That's all that we have for today. Oh yeah, of course, Sean, that's important. I just did it really fast right now because I wanted to be able to upload it. You have to, after you've done all the images, you have to go and render your object by, you go to the 3D, you select your layer here, go to 3D, and you just press render. And this is gonna take time depending on how complicated your scene is, how your GPU is. So it can take a while. So I just did it really fast right now. But yes, really good. Thanks for reminding me that. That's all that we have for today. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow for the last challenge. And can't wait to see what you all create. Thank you.